ROI, of course, means return on investment. And the way you determine that ROI is by calculating the financial benefits you gained from using the software compared to the cost acquiring, implementing, and maintaining it. Because time is money, it's smart to calculate how quickly you'll be able to start seeing the return on investment also. When your ROI is in a good place, it can bring a whole lot of benefits to the organization, including increased productivity, cost savings, generating more revenue, just overall, better decision making, higher customer satisfaction, whole lot less waste, time savings, etc. Faster ROI. How does Ignition help companies get a faster return on their investments? Go ahead, and you're on a roll, Derrick. You go ahead and answer this one first.
Yeah, I think sometimes to get a faster ROI, you need to actually slow down. Does $1 million MES solution make sense for your first deployment? It may and it may not. We see most success by getting quick wins, gaining buy-in from everyone, from operators to leadership, and you can do things like get appropriate training, like we've been talking about, engage in the community, this fantastic community, find and select the right partner to not just sell you a solution, but actually consult you. All these things are going to contribute to unlocking Ignition's ROI. And we're talking about ROI, so I talked about one project. If I could just take a second to talk about another one that Flexware has done with one of my customers, Belden Wire Cable. We have a public case study that we did with them where we implemented Ignition. I got some bullet points just from the case study. It was a black box MES. It didn't have the functionality they needed. They were heavy on manual processes and tribal knowledge, and their OE was sitting at 57%. So they partnered with Flexware, and we deployed SparkMES. It's our configuration-based launchpad built on top of Ignition. So it's not a module or anything. It's just a bunch of assets that we sell as a package. Operators had immediate insight into machine performance once that was deployed. They had a goal of 5% increase in OE, and after deployed, it came out to be 18%. So got them up to 75% OE. And we want to hear about dollars, right? So that return was about a $500,000 annual performance increase. So we're talking real money, real ROI with Ignition.
That's great, Derrick. Just in passing to the answer you gave to the previous one, I want to just give a shout out to you guys at Flexware, to Dwayne and Scott and you and the team there in terms of the training you're offering. I've had a chance to be out there and visit you guys and see what you've got set up there. And so really appreciate all the work you're doing with Ignition knowledge transfer in the whole area that you're serving out there. So thanks for the Indiana team there. All right, David Lamb, your thoughts.
So from a faster ROI, obviously we spoke at length around the pricing that is publicly available, so it's very clear and transparent. But where the ROI really comes into play, not only for us but also our customers, it's the consequential knock-on effect of other software platforms. So by that I mean Ignition works on any operating system, so it's just easy. You're not pigeonholed into one particular one. Then for a lot of it is reporting is a big thing now. So quite a lot of other softwares on the market must use Microsoft SQL. Ignition is open to any SQL database, and we know how expensive that is. So there are greater return on investments before you, outside of just buying a SCADA, EMS or BMS. So we all know that Microsoft SQL's database is extremely expensive. It's priced now per processor core. It's just so expensive, and when Ignition comes in, you can just use any, and there's a lot of free ones that are really good. And then the last one I touched on previously before is around PQ. We've actually had customers out there using, because they had to use other vendors' software just to get the PQ data, and then on top of it, they're using Ignition. So now we're able to do that, and they're able to knock out that other layer below, which just adds more complexity, more server resources, more licensing costs, and we're able to knock that out and push it over straight to Ignition.
Thanks, David. David McKenna, your thoughts on faster ROI?
Yeah, I have one from an end user directly using Ignition, and they had an issue with raw material incorrect raw materials being used, and we're able to build a proof of concept software to kind of cut these misformulation events down to zero with Ignition. And because of the previously kind of mentioned operating system flexibility, database flexibility, it was really the licensing cost and their own labor, which they could manage to find to build the proof of concept and to get that kind of idea off the ground. So great example of low upfront costs to be creative, and because it's such lower cost, you can get that faster ROI. You can start your project quicker. You don't have as many approvals. You don't have as much trouble getting funding because you just don't need as much to get started.
Great, thanks. Okay, Dan, Stauft, over to you on the ROI question here, faster ROI.
So our initial scope of the Ignition project was a simple machine data collection project. And about a year into our implementation, we found we had a problem on a specific line making pre-cooked bacon. We were missing our target production. And this was we're a co-packer, so this is a bacon product that was made other places, and we were not making it as quickly as the competitors were. So we actually put Stauft MES over our machine data collection system for that specific line. And we did it using the free trial, of course. And we found very quickly that our bill of material targets were vastly below what the capabilities of the machines were. Our slicers had been upgraded, our microwaves had been upgraded. So when we first started computing OEE, we were at around 28% on that line. We implemented Stauft MES. We put a continuous improvement team in place to train the employees on how to react to the data. Within 6 weeks, we were at around 63%, and we are currently right around 75 to 78%. The beauty of that project was we've got 11 other lines that are identical to that line. So we were able to just basically take the template we used on that line, apply it to the other 11 lines, and we rapidly went from working 7 days a week double shifted to trying to find work to work 5 days a week double shifted. So it was a huge improvement. We basically, our bacon productivity went up 2.5 times.
That's actually amazing. Thanks for sharing that. I think sometimes it's hard to imagine when you think about moving an OEE number by a couple percentage points can make a very happy C-suite inside an organization. And you're talking about significant movement. I've also heard a couple of things on a case study you did a few years ago from your C-suite and the founder that you're pretty happy about those numbers. So that's great. Thanks for your comments on that.